Greetings, my fine fellow mercenary assault commanders, and my fellow clan wolf warriors. It is I, a goat, and I'm here to talk to you today about BattleTech Redemption Rites by Jason Switzer. Swetcher? Swetcher, I believe that is the proper pronunciation. If not, I am very sorry, and I will Google that some other point if I talk about another novel. But for now, we're talking about redemption rites, or how the Wolves Dragoons got their groove back and started their vengeance crusade against the Wolf Empire. But yes, that is the core conceit of this novel. And going from the start and the get-go, I'm just going to say this outright. This is the novel. If you are interested in BattleTech, if you are interested in trying to get into the fiction and get into the setting and get a feel for whatever the heck is like BattleTech as like a fictional concept, this is the novel to read. This novel, set in the current era, the Ilkhan era, basically gives you a just rundown of all the basics of both inner spear culture, mercenaries, and clan stuff. So you get an idea of the politics of like how the houses work, the political machinations and all that, how mercenaries units work, and how clans feel and operate and a bit of their culture. It does this by breaking down the story into two segments that we follow. We follow the Wolves Dragoons, primarily led by Henry Hack Kincaid and his newly kind of elected and raised up assistant or second in command, Haya. Uh, Let me see if I know how to pronounce this. Uh, Tetsuhara. Want to say I said that right? Do not know if I did. But she and him basically are coming out of the events of the previous era and are just dealing with the decimation of the Wolf Dragoons after the events that happened on Terra. And so now that they've got the people who came back, dealt with that, their reputation's been damaged, they're mad. They want vengeance for those that were like misused, and now they're going to take it out on the wolves. They're going to war, and through that war, we get a sense of like how to play the game because you can't go to war unless you have support and structure, and that's what this novel is about. It is about the Wolves Dragoons doing their opening rites in their war to like just get vengeance on Clan Wolf after their betrayal and insult during the Ilkhan battle. Well, that may sound like it requires a lot of pre-established knowledge. Not really. The novel does a really great way of just giving you, okay, this is the gist of what happened. You can infer some things, but it's very little that you actually have to know because most of the characters we follow were not even remotely near any of the stuff with the Ilkhan. The characters were used as a storytelling device to help inform us or like kind of give a sense of what is the situation for the Dragoons. Kind of sets up like what they are and who they are as people and like what their kind of new mission is. So you don't really have to have known or read anything too much about the Ilkhan stuff. The novel will give you enough information that you can easily piece together this is what it was, this is what it did, and now everyone has to deal with the consequence of it. And that's kind of the gist of the novel. It is dealing with the consequences of the the big event, which is the Ilkhan trial. So it basically takes every like little faction or group that we are dealing with and just kind of thrusts them in this new era and sets their kind of idea up. With the Wolf Dragoons, it's them going to war, them setting themselves up in the Free Worlds League, and getting some politicking on, which allows us to get a bit of information on like the houses, the culture there, and kind of the feeling that you can get from interacting with like a mercenary unit or a house individual and all that kind of jazz. And then on the other half, you follow Star Colonel Othar and his beleaguered attempts to maintain the Wolves' empire while Clan Wolf's entire military is off on Terra. And let me say, this man steals the show of the novel, personally for me. His undoubtedly screwed position is really interesting because as a character, he's dealing with the events in a very different way. Whereas the Dragoons have been, they're on a vengeance path. They are raring to go. They want to fight. They have a purpose. They know what they want to do. Whereas with Othar and a lot of the Wolves Empire characters, they're dealing with the fact that their entire point of their culture has been done. And that sets up the kind of mood that they're going for. Because Othar doesn't really know what to do. He has his duty, and that's what he's following through. But from a cultural perspective and like how that affects all the characters in the story we follow, it creates a very interesting kind of emotional and like response from these characters because it's like, what do you do when the whole point of your existence is done and you missed it? You weren't part of the group that figured it out. So you have this group of people who have a purpose, they have the things that they need to do, but the biggest thing, their main prerogative, is now gone, and how that kind of is affecting them and their views towards their actual leadership, because they're left to the literal wolves, dragoons that is, and left to fend for themselves and deal with the consequences of like just being left alone and how to maintain that. And so like through that novel you get a really good look at like what it means for the clan, like not necessarily like the warriors, but like kind of the cultural idea of like clan wolf as a whole, or at least the wolves in the empire as they're feeling it, because they are dealing with culture shock. They are dealing with these events extremely affecting them both on an emotional, cultural, and significant level. Some people react positively to the news, others are broken down to some degree, or at least very upset. Others are questioning what's the point to some degree. And it really sets up this really interesting look into like the people we follow, primarily Othar and by extension Radu, a young star commander, I believe is his rank, who was the first wolf cub to ever graduate into the Ilkhan tournament. And when you get to the scene where you he learns that is personally that's one of my favorite scenes in the novel. It's very early on, so you'll get to it fairly quickly, and it really kind of sets the tone for what some of the mood of the characters in the Wolves Empire is. It's very nice. It's also very bitter, and it's underscored very well by Othar's internal monologue talking about it during the time and his own like thinking about his own time when he got through his trial of possession and essentially got his rank. From there, the rest of the novel goes into the wolves' assault on the Empire, their main plan, how they set up and are going to be like, how are they actually going to be building back up their regiments, their troops, and what their kind of outset idea is. And then with Othar, it's following up how does the Empire stay together and not get eaten alive by the other major players in the thing. So if the what I've described sounds interesting to you with setting up both like the dragoons as like what their message is now, the wolves empire, both like a cultural identities thing and like what they're doing with trying to just hold off and wait for word from the Ilkhan to figure things out. I'd highly recommend this be like a thing you pick up. Or if you are more looking for someone who's getting into BattleTech, very much giving them this novel will be kind of the best possible way to get it. Because it does a great example of just giving you all of the information for various topics, concepts, or like things in BattleTech very well. There are a couple where it's like, you're showing your hand where you're just trying to explain something, but in terms of being a very good introductory novel, I think that is very much a consequence that it doesn't really matter, is what I mean. It is a thing that is meant to get you into the setting, to explain what the setting is and how things work in that setting. And I think the book does it really well. The book gives you a lot of fun stuff to read. You get some good characters. Like Kincaid is very interesting as a character who is a man who is just out for vengeance, but he's not like a stark raving mad vengeance, but more of a cold, refined, and painful revenge. This is a man whose literal duty and dedication to being a stone cold motherfucker um is going to just cause the most havoc. This is someone who's calculated and knows what to do. Whereas Haya's story is more about coming into more an even bigger command position, being put in a new unknown situation and having to deal with that, having to deal with the realities of being a commander of like a bigger or more like larger battalion than or I believe it's a battalion than she's used to, and kind of her history and her kind of just coming into that role. And so you get a really good breadth of her and her character, and the events that she in turn causes lead to some fun back and forth between the events and the combat. So the fighting in the novel is also pretty fun. You get some cool shooty shooty bang bang mech bits that also help to underscore some fun bits of character with her going on. So she's our primary like cool action character, whereas Kincaid's more the CO, the commander dealing with the fallout, and same with Othard, who is just trying to keep everything together and trying to figure out how he can defend like a huge swath of space without having a actual army to do so and trying to raise that up fast. So if those sound interesting to you, I'd highly recommend picking up the book. But now we leave on to the spoiler section. So, if you do not wish to know any spoilers, please stop the recording now and go pick up this book. There will be a link down in the description to the Try Through RPG link or Amazon, where I believe there is a print on demand version for this novel. Or maybe I will skip Amazon because, giant corporations don't need money. Instead, I will probably link to Fortress Miniatures and Games, a awesome store that you can buy all kinds of stuff that is BattleTech related. This is a not sponsored thing. I just really like that store because every time I've ordered from it, I've gotten it really quick. They are very good. So, if you'd like to check out this novel or buy it for a friend, go down to those links and send them off and get ready to rock and roll into the Ilkhan era with guns blazing. So, time for spoiler discussions. But yeah, I really like this novel. I really like it. This was the first BattleTech novel I read, like from cover to back. This was great. Kind of going into what I would like to think about is just I guess I'll start with Othar because I really ended up liking his character. I never like I wasn't super interested in Clan Wolf, still not really, but like Othar as a character is really interesting because throughout the novel you get this sense that he's just tired. He is tired of the fact that he missed the biggest event in his life and it messes with him and his kind of resentment towards Alec Ward as not just a person but as like a political figure in how he's the guy in charge. He has to take care of all this shit. And now he is stuck, undergunned, surrounded by piranhas chipping at his borders, and is just forced to do so many risky habits that he personally might not want to do. And then just the slow breaking down of his like resolve, not really resolve, because he still resolves everything, but like his own respect or I don't know. It's just he grows more irritated with Alec Ward and his actions and just like the beleaguered nature of him. It endears you a whole lot because he goes from trying to raise regiments, them getting lost before we can even raise them, having to make a desperate call to Clan Seafox and give them that, which will completely screw over a whole bunch of stuff, but we'll give them defenders, and just like trying his darndest to do everything he can to keep things going. And then at the very end, when you get his final resolve after the big battle is just, oh, I'm not sending reinforcements to the Wolves Empire. You just survive on your own. I'm Alec Ward. Everything. I own everything. Like that's the end bit he gets. Like I was kind of hoping he would die at the end of the novel when Haya came to Gehenna. That's how the planet's name is pronounced. Um, to like assault and take him out, because then he would have like just the ability to like, I fought and I died and I did it with honor, and I get to say that. And then he survives, and it's like all he has left is just duty. He doesn't have his resolve to fight for his clan seems like it's pretty much broken. Like his identity as a wolf like is fractured to some degree. Kind of like what I think is coming for a lot of the wolves, because you have like all of Alec Ward's people on Terra who are just isolating themselves, and then the actual Empire who are left to fend for themselves. So I think like there might be a fracturing of Clan Wolf happening sometime in the future, and this is kind of either setting up the mood or inferring things. Um, and so like you just get really invested in him as a person, because he's questioning so much of like his life and the nature of just all the stuff involved with the clan. It's not super deep, but it is interesting. You get a lot going on with his character, and also with Radu, his kind of newly elected second in command, in how like someone who's younger, who literally is like, I was raised to do all this stuff, and now what's the point? So again, I like the sort of culture shock elements you get throughout the novel with these two, and like them trying to rationalize or figure out what to do with themselves, because it's like they have lost one of the biggest motivators that their culture has constantly told them about. So like what is there to do? And they don't really have something like the Ghost Bears, where they have like this concept of family and their integration into a spear culture kind of thing, or like the Falcons, who are just like either rebuilding themselves or like just were just out it to take out Wolf. So it's really interesting like reading through their story. In terms of like the Dragoon story, I think it really it sets up a very interesting picture. Like with Kincaid creating this new planet for them to like set up on and just wreak havoc on the wolves. Since they've literally declared like, hey, we're out and out going to war with Alec Ward. And I'm really curious to see like what other stories get told and where we get to see like everything, because I want to know what happens, what the next step of the plan is, because the final, or like the first step of the plan that we get in this novel is dastardly and very much like kind of like I don't think it's like the most damning blade into the side of Alec Ward, but it is a personal one. It is a personal shaming and stabbing of him, where they steal the first Sibco of Trueborn um, uh, clan warriors bred with Alec's genes, and are just going to be sending them off and making them in either into dragoons or not, or giving them off to the other clans as little gifts. Uh, and that while that not is like a destruction of like clan culture, it is still like that is a move that will piss him off, because the clans to a degree have been fixated on continuing themselves, but not like as a person would do with a child or whatnot, but more with their genes. So seeing like the progeny of this guy who in every other appearance I've read is so full of himself will be a blow to their personal ego. And it really it makes you really want to see what the next step, what is the next thing they're gonna do to screw over Alec Ward. Because you're like, dang, that is a hardcore start to this war where they really gotten it going, and you want to see like what is the response to that, and what is the next stage of this assault upon it, which I think we will be learning to some degree in Divinian Divided, because I believe that deals with the dragoons because it has the Wolves Empire in it, I think. Um, but yeah, this novel was just really good. It gives you a lot of cool things. It gives you some interesting characters, and you really get into them. It's not like the most in-depth spoiler talk. I didn't really have any really specific epiphaniations about what this story is beyond that. It's like it's two cultures paralleling each other as they deal with coming into the current era. With the Dragoons, it's them having a new motivation, a new goal, and then they're launching themselves into it. And then with the Wolves Empire, it's what is our goal? They're questioning what do we do now? Um, we have what we need to do, but what is the prerogative of our people? What is our mission statement? And them kind of having to settle with a less than stellar idea at the moment just because it's what they have. Um, and the kind of consequences of all that. So I really like that sort of interplay. That and the perspective switching here is really nice as well. The little bits where you jump into various little wolf empire people as high as like battalion assaults locations and like starts taking things out really gives you a sense of like who those people are and what they're doing. Like it helps kind of give it a more of a cool following to the scene. Like when you know, like when you have the battle going on and the combat is going on, and you see from the other side like the terror or like just the sheer magnitude of what they're fighting against. It really kind of gives the action more fun to go for because with the dragoons they're the best of the best. They are the top brass of like hardcore mercenaries, and they've been wounded, but they're still a deadly beast. So like they're gonna really mess up some stuff when they come around, and so by having the perspective switch around, you get a better kind of flow to the scene and like have something fun going on as you follow into the heads of these various peoples. One of the ones I really liked was early on in the novel where you have a Sibco of freeborn students from the former Free Worlds League world that had like an academy on it, and after basically the dragoons come in, liberate the world, take a whole bunch of them, say, hey, you can either join us or go home. You get one of the cadets who the trainer was like, ah, yes, you are the risk star of my group. You're my star pupil. Like leaving a message after she left, saying, hey, I hate you so much. I'm now going to use everything you taught me, everything the Gajoons can teach me, and I'm going to use it to go home and destroy everything you hold of value. I'm going to make sure, like, the wolves on my world burn. I'm going to be the coolest teenage rebel leader girl ever, and thank you for teaching me how to do it. Like, that was a great. There's a bunch of really nice, great scenes peppered throughout the novel like that, where you just get these great gut punches or underscoring of like character moments that make you really get into the tales that you follow with each person. Because it you get I guess I would say you get a personal kind of look into each of these people's lives as you go. Sometimes it's like a cadet we saw, like I talked about. Other times it's a Solomon warrior who got her leg blown off and is getting a new one grown on, and her having to fight off the dragoons on one planet. Other times it's Othar as he's like, okay, I've got to make some arrangements with merchants and the free guilds and the politics of that. And then you have Nicola, the captain general of the Free Worlds League, uh, and her kind of just coming to the realization of the political nature of the now and how she has to make a move. You just get a lot of fun moments with a lot of characters that I think just really, I want to say like kind of endears you, but like because I said that before, but also just kind of gets you into the setting. It gets you into a lot of different things and gets you to understand the gist of it all. So again, coming back to that, this is a great novel for anyone who is trying to get into BattleTech and or more the setting as opposed to the game itself. Um, I really think like this novel just does a great job at giving you both terminology, history, and then just some good character moments and also some action. The action's pretty good here. Um, Going into the just the novel or the setting as a whole. I think that is probably the best bet I can give. It is a great introductory novel for anyone because it's very fun. It's very well written. It's very kind of concise, so you can read it very fast. Compared to some of the other books I've read so far, I read this one much faster because of the style and how it was written. It's something you can burn through pretty quickly. Um, Literally, in rereading chapters for this video, I was able to just get through like 6 chapters fairly quickly. And as a dyslexic person, that's hard. So yeah, I really like this book. I'd highly recommend you check out this novel, or if you're trying to get your friends into BattleTech, definitely give them this book and a starter box, and you got yourself a new old BattleTech player and a new merc or clanner for your combined campaign or whatever. But yeah, so definitely pick up this book, and thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around for more, because I'll have a couple more novel reviews planned out soon, as soon as I finish reading some novels. I have some other videos planned that are BattleTech related, some not. But yeah, so hopefully, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and comment down below if you've read the novel or have any thoughts on the current Ilkhan era. Bring them down below, and we'll chit chat and see what goes around. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a awesome tomorrow and a happy 2023.